Vigilante Williamson here with the very first episode of my show, The Vigilante Williamson Show. It is September 22nd, Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. Hope everyone's having a blessed evening, a very blessed evening. This is the very first show, I've ever done as a podcast. This is not my very first podcast, but this is my first podcast in this format. I initially tried doing a positive news show. Didn't really work out because a lot of it got political. So I decided to start back, making videos, made quite a few videos. And over the past few weeks, I am behind on a lot of topics I want to talk about. So I figured I would go back into doing a podcast to get into a lot of those subjects. So I'm probably going to combine what I could have done in like 20 videos all in one podcast. I have a bunch of news to talk to you today as I go into this. This is actually just a quick bit of news. I wanted to talk about this. This page is no longer here. Black Lives Matter removed their What We Believe. Black Lives Matter has removed their What We Believe page. But I have a lot more to talk about. I want to talk about as I look down at my notes. Nice and obviously. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about WandaVision. I want to talk about the DC universe and all the craziness going there, the Star Wars universe and all the craziness going there, and then I want to close with the Jake. I'm messing up everything. The Jake Gardner situation. I actually want to talk about the McCloskeys, but I don't think I'll have time. I didn't have the tab up, but I will get into all of that. I know people are probably just coming in, if at all. If anyone is actually watching, I appreciate anyone watching. So let us go on with the very first story, and that is, I really have to adjust the mic. It's very professional. It's just in a very awkward position for me. So I'm sure that, great. And I am having frames drop. Video resolution. Okay, stream is healthy, just resolution. Okay, I don't care about that. All right. Technical issues aside, let's get into the very first story of our opening stories. These will be real quick. I'm not going to go really in depth to these, as you can kind of see the tabs up here. Very first story. This is the archive of Black Lives Matter. What We Believe. This page is no longer here. Why, you may ask? I'm guessing the controversy. There is a passage. And this is something, I actually have used this page in another one of my videos. I did a video on Amy Klobuchar and the corruption in the Minneapolis, I'm trying to think of the word, District Attorney's Office. That's the word I'm looking for. And I talked about BLM, and I'm trying to find the passage. Oh yeah, here we go. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirements by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable, because fathers do not exist in BLM's word. In fact, if you can see down here, I tried to search where does man, you have Zimmerman, because they're talking about the Trayvon Martin, which is what led them to start grifting off people, dismantle, and back again. If you're looking for men in this page, movement, I think that shows up. Movement, commitment, women, environments, and then this is just, we build a space which affirms black women. It's free from sexism, misogyny, and environments in which men are centered. So basically, we're trying to. This is a pro-black woman thing, which is fine. I love black women. I love all women. I love my sisters. But this is not really. This is a feminism. This is all about feminism when you look at it. Oh, vigilantes, talking about me. But look at what this page that's now been removed. This has been here for a while. This is on archive. Check out the web archive. But it's all about heteronormative and transphobic and all. And listen, man, love who you love. Love who you love. I just don't know what that has to do with police violence. This about us is what we believe. Outside of the origins, which talks about Trayvon Martin, and the tragedy that happened there, and everything with Ferguson, all this other stuff. Outside of that, there's nothing about violence against black men, which is the whole origin of this organization and the whole reason everyone is behind it. There's nothing on this page, and now it's been removed. Probably after all the controversy, I think this has been a linking back point for a lot of people who are critical of Black Lives Matter, and it's no longer here. So you can just still check the archive. You know what? I'll just put it in the chat in case somebody shows up or sheesh. Somebody shows up in the past or the future, in the present or the future. You can see that archive. Let's continue. LeBron James actively looking to pay convicted felons fines to vote in an election. This is from Outkick.com. Shout out to Jason Whitlock and Clay Travis. Shout out to Outkick. I'll actually read through this story. Celebrities and athletes are known to endorse presidential candidates. LeBron James is taking that initiative a step further. LeBron and the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition are actively sending text messages to residents for the purpose of forwarding them to convicted felons, Outkick has learned. LeBron and the group are offering to pay fines and fees so felons can vote in an upcoming presidential election. Now, they have the opinion, which I think is probably true, for Joe Biden because he's very left-leaning, LeBron is. But it doesn't explicitly say that, so I want to be fair. Here's one of the screenshots that Outkick retained. You see a little Outkick.com. Oh, no, that's just the link. How'd you get my number? The same thing. I've been getting these same stupid things. But yeah, if you need one who needs to pay off their fines. You know what? As I read this, I don't necessarily know if they're felons per se, because I'm not sure what Florida is like. If you have a felony, you have a felony on your record. I don't think fines can, for the most part, I don't think fines can get over it. But LeBron is helping them out just so he can vote. He has this group called More Than a Vote to fight black voter suppression and excite minority voters across the nation. Please show me a single example of modern vote suppression. We know that in the 60s and going back, Jim Crow laws. That's the origin of this non-voter ID movement because of a lot of restrictions that black people in the South and in other places were made to go through in order to vote. I don't believe those restrictions still exist. I don't believe we need so much lackadaisicalness about vote. I think voting, it should be very important. I think voter ID, I'm black and I'm in favor of voter ID because I have an ID, and so do most black people. I don't think that's holding anyone back from voting. And I don't think you need an organization, more than the vote, because he's more than an athlete. He's a scam artist. And I don't think you need an organization like this. And if you're going to donate money to people in need, I'm sure there are a lot of families in Florida and all across the planet, all across the country, that could just use help, especially in this time with COVID. So LeBron James, being a political grifter as usual, doesn't say anything about China, a country that genuinely hates black people, genuinely. And that doesn't matter. He makes a lot of money off of it, so it doesn't matter how they feel about black people. Doesn't matter. Okay, next story. I'm not sure who's going to be upset or not about this, but Supergirl. This is beginning its last season to end with upcoming season on the CW according to Deadline. And this has been out for a lot of people. Supergirl will be taking her last flight. The CW producers, Warner Brothers TV, Berlanti Productions, just announced the drama series starring Melissa Benoist, and I'm probably mispronouncing her last name, will conclude with the upcoming 6th season, set for premiere on the CW in 2021. This is the second series from CW's Arrowverse to be canceled, second series from CW's Arrowverse to end following Arrow, which wrapped after its 8-year run last season, which I used to like Arrow. I used to like the first few seasons. Excuse me as I bump into mics. The first few seasons of the Arrowverse were pretty cool. The first 2 seasons of Arrow were really good. First season of Flash I liked a lot. But after that, it started to, once Legends came out, you had Supergirl, you had all these shows, I felt like the writing got weaker just across the board. And that was before it got really woke. And so once it got to that point, that's when it got really, really bad. And I didn't watch. I didn't even watch before it got woke. Just the emphasis on a lot of non-superhero characters, a lot of drama, a lot of BS, a lot of things that had nothing to do with what I wanted to see, which was a comic book TV show. So the Arrowverse has lost its way a long time ago, even though I actually want to see them involved in some of the DC EU or DC movies, as I'll get into a little bit later. But Supergirl is canceled. And I do not think it'll be the last show of the Arrowverse that ends up canceling. So I guess CW has been getting rid of other shows, because they got rid of Supernatural and 100. So because the pandemic, finally the stressors fall. So they're getting rid of Supergirl. I know the ratings were falling. It started off on CBS, ended up on CW, and it's come to an end. So if you're a fan of that show, which I don't think there's many left, just know that it is gone. Now this story is great. Alyssa Milano, washed up post-war actress who wants us to defund the police, calls 911, sparking a massive police presence in her quiet California neighborhood, claiming an armed gunman was on her property, but it was a teen shooting at squirrels with an air gun. Now I saw this take somewhere in what I'm about to say, but she wants to defund the police, and she got all these people to come confront a teen with an air gun. What if that had been a black teen, and what if something would have happened to him? Miss Alyssa Milano, Miss I'm going to steal the Me Too movement because I'm washed up and I need some more attention. This is why people have issues with wokeness and craziness in general. And this is for anyone who happens to be on the left. Somebody enter the viewers. I have another viewer. I know you're there. But just for someone to know, like, okay, regardless of how you feel on certain political views, political takes, this person saying defund the police, who would then call the police and get, all these cop cars all looking for a guy. What did she say? She said it was a 40-year-old man with a gun. It was a neighborhood teen with the air gun shooting at squirrels. That's what it was. I'm trying to look where it said. They'll say something that she had stalkers in the past, so that's not good. Where is it? Sorry about that. This is live TV, everyone. So me looking, when you have a bunch of stories lined up and looking for specific passages are pretty difficult, so I apologize. You probably have seen the passage I'm looking for as I try to read through a mask. Guess the teenager himself witnessed the response and realized he was the cause and then turned himself in. But this is just ridiculous. Listen, this is why you shouldn't have the take of defund the police in the first place. Sorry about that. We need police. I am not someone who is, as I mess my iPad, my notes, I'm not somebody who's super pro police, as I keep scrolling, which I'm sure is making you messed up, but it's really screwing me. Now I can't find this passage. 40. Okay, here it is. It was at the beginning. Of course, I couldn't find it. But yeah, the description of the suspect was a man in his 40s with a long rifle. But what was I saying? You have people who scream defund the police. You have people with their own political movements. All these political movements, all these political takes. And then they're hypocrites about it. I'm not going to say seeing some random dude with a gun is something you should take lightly. In fact, I think you should take it seriously. I'm not sure if she and her husband have a Second Amendment themselves or exercise their Second Amendment rights themselves. But I definitely think you should take the fact that this kid was walking around with a gun seriously. But just the fact that you were screaming defund the police, but the very first sign of trouble you get, and there was a lot of police that showed up. It's like, this is why you shouldn't have that take. This is why you shouldn't just go on a woke bandwagon take, because that defund the police movement was a bandwagon take. Instead of saying reform the police or look at certain things, let's defund and get rid of. That's just crazy and extreme, just like everything. Just like what the title is, chaos everywhere. Everything is extreme, and just the defund the police take is an extreme take. And Alyssa Milano finds out firsthand. I hope she continues to get killed on Twitter. That's why you shouldn't defund the police, because you might need them. Thank goodness nothing came of it. Thank goodness the police didn't actually accost this kid or harm this kid because of Alyssa Milano. But really think about it. What would have happened if it was a young black kid with the airsoft gun, the cops mistake it, and they shoot him? All because Miss Defund the Police calls the police. Like, how ironic and really tragic would that have been? How long is the streaming going? About 16 minutes. Oh man, we haven't even started. I guess this will be the start. I wanted to talk about this WandaVision trailer. I think I'm the only one who's excited for. I know I'm not the only one. I'm debating whether or not to keep the sound. I'm actually gonna take the sound off. Reason I'm gonna take the sound. You know what? No, I was gonna take the sound off for you so I can hear. It doesn't matter. I'm taking the sound off because I do not want to get bullied by YouTube any more than I do. But just looking at it, you have this 50s, 60s Bewitched era, past sort of setting with Wanda and Vision. I love the look of the show. You see Vision going back to normal. You see Wanda as this 50s classic housewife. And this is where, in the part of the trailer where it seems like the reality starts to unravel as she's asked logical questions about, where are you guys from? And it starts to freak out. This is where the persistent banging comes up in the trailer. And then you see the reality sort of fuzz a little bit. So there's some alternate reality. Her reality bending powers are showing up. The awesome original costume. And you see Vision's original costume. And this is where Vision realizes, hey, he's dead. So there's a real creepy, weird, zany vibe to the show. I love this. There's Vision in his costume. I really want to see. I really, 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 really want to see what this is. And I think that's either Riri Williams or Monica Rambeau. I guess we will see later. I really want to see what this is. This looks weird. It looks different. It looks crazy. And I want to see what happens. So I kind of just went through it there as it played. Like I said, no audio. We have enough issues with YouTube. I don't want any more. I am very, very, very excited about WandaVision. I really think watching that trailer, I see why she should not be. I don't think Scarlet Witch at all should be in this new Doctor Strange movie that she's supposed to be. I think that was a very stupid decision and a very lazy decision. Oh, she's a witch. She's not really a witch. That's her name. She's a mutant with reality bending powers. And you don't even have to shy away from it because you own Fox now. I thought that was a stupid decision to put her in a place where she doesn't belong. She doesn't belong in Doctor Strange. She belongs here in that weird world that she's creating with Vision. That's where she should be. That's what I want to see from Scarlet Witch and this WandaVision. I think this, if they do it right, which I know may make it, this show is probably going to be niche if it's going to be good, or niche, however you want to pronounce it. For WandaVision to be a good show, it has to be a niche show. I don't think it's going to be a show that's going to appeal to millions and millions of people. We're going to talk about it actually coming up not too long from now. But The Mandalorian is a show that appeals to a lot of people. It appeals to the Star Wars fans en masse. I don't think this is going to appeal to the MCU fans en masse, especially where, in general, I think the MCU is kind of done. I know I'm not the only one who thinks the MCU is done. I know I'm not the only one who is tired of the MCU. I think Endgame was the ending. I think the MCU had been dead to me for really years. It started with really Age of Ultron was the first chip in the armor for the MCU for me because I didn't really like that movie. I thought it was pretty much trash. And then we got Civil War. And even though I love the visuals in that movie, the story ended up where there was really no heroes. And that was the beginning of the end for the MCU with me and just every progressive movie. Not that there weren't some movies I liked. I liked Black Panther. I liked the first Ant-Man. I liked Doctor Strange. But I didn't like a lot of the movies, including Guardians of the Galaxy. I know I'll get a lot of heat for that. And it's been a slow decline. And then by the time we get to Infinity War and then Endgame, it was just over. That's the end of Marvel. So in that post MCU, to me, that's what this really is. I've heard it called the FemCU, whatever. But it's really the post MCU because the MCU story has been told. So this new Marvel after the MCU, I don't know what it's going to be. And I don't know if WandaVision is the show that you want to appeal to the masses. But I think WandaVision has great potential to be a really fun, weird, crazy, niche show for a small audience. I don't think it's going to be for the wider audience. I don't think most people are going to want to see WandaVision, to be fair. But I am one of the people who do want to see WandaVision. And I'm really excited for it. I don't know how long it'll last. I think we'll be blessed to get a second season, and the first season hasn't even aired yet. I just don't see this gripping people like other shows. Or like The Mandalorian, which is Disney is hoping for this to be, and I don't think it is, because they need as much help with Disney Plus as they can get. But yeah, I do not see that for this show, even though I'm really excited for it. So let's get into the main stuff as I hit the wrong button, because like I said, tabs. The state of the DC. Let's start here. I mentioned Civil War just a second ago. I think they're making this new Flash movie their Civil War as far as DC, because everything is about hiding the Flash. The Flash movie wants Nicolas Cage as Superman, Bell, Kilmer, Clooney, and O'Donnell to cameo? ? So if you don't know this, Nicolas Cage was supposed to play Superman in a movie in the early 2000s. There's even a screen test for it. And apparently, because this is going to deal with alternate realities, this new Flash, and everything the DC EU or the DC movie verse or just DC's live action verse, everything they're doing is gearing towards a multiverse where there are multiple realities. And so they're trying to get every single Batman. I've even heard, I'm not sure if it's in this article, Brandon Routh, who was in Superman Returns. They're basically trying to get every living DC actor. I would love that, honestly. If they got Linda Carter and you see her as this older Wonder Woman, that would be awesome. Like that would, I am really for this. I am for hiding Ezra Miller, who is trash, as the Flash, and just making this a DCEU movie that's based upon a Flash. Let's get into a little bit more of the story. The Flash movie is reportedly looking to cast Nicolas Cage as Superman. Additionally, Andres Muschietti and the studio are looking to recruit Christian Bale, George Clooney, and Val Kilmer. It's already been confirmed that Ben Affleck will be getting into the bat suit one more time, along with original Batman Michael Keaton. It now appears that DC is taking a few more notes from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, with all of these actors taking on a different version of the Dark Knight, along with a Man of Steel that never came into fruition. Tim Burton attempted to make a Superman movie back in the 90s. I thought it was the early 2000s. I actually still think it's the early 2000s. I think this report is wrong. And Nicolas Cage was cast as the Man of Steel. The movie never made it past development stage, but apparently it was going to be insane and talked about extensively over the years. Sources are now claiming that Cage will get his shot on the big screen to play Superman in The Flash, albeit in a small cameo. However, this has not been officially confirmed by the actor or the studio at this point in time. It's quite a bit more. Oh, I want to get one other part because this is important to me. Actually, no, I might as well go to the rest of the article. In addition to Nicolas Cage joining the Flash cast as Superman, it's been rumored that Warner Brothers and Andres Muschietti have reached out to Val Kilmer and George Clooney and Christian Bale to cameo as various other Batman characters. Excuse me. I'm trying to social distance from the COVID. I do not have COVID. As fat as I would, I'd probably be dead. All right. What was that? Christian Bale to cameo as various other Batman characters alongside Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck. If this wasn't enough, it's also been rumored that Chris O'Donnell will show up as Robin in the highly anticipated movie. Opening the DC universe to different timelines pretty much means that anything can happen, though all of this news could be too good to be true. It was previously rumored that Grant Gustin's version of The Flash would appear in the Flash movie. Showrunner for Barry Allen CW series Eric Wallace recently said, "I would love to see Grant appear somewhere in their version of the film. I know Grant will be excited. I think he will have some fun." And as this mentions, Ezra Miller cameoed on the service. Ezra Miller has cameoed on the series, so there's a precedence for this. And I think that's the most important thing from a storyline point. Ezra Miller has entered the Arrowverse and the CW verse. And so, because of their Infinite Crisis, and I did not see that Crisis crossover from last year, but because of that crossover, it may have been earlier this year actually, because of that crossover where Grant Gustin goes into that verse, into that CW universe, I really want to see, where Ezra Miller goes into the CW universe, I want to see the reverse. I want to see Grant Gustin, not only as a cameo, I think you got to hide Ezra Miller. He's not a good Flash. He's choking bitches. He's not really, I don't like him. He's unlikable. I don't really know what the hype about him as an actor is. And I feel like DC knows that, which is why they're trying to do everything they can to do this multiverse and put all these people. So if we're going to have two Barry Allens, which I don't know that Grant Gustin will or won't be in this, I think he needs to be a major part of it. We'll have all these multiple realities. I think that'll be fun. I think it'll be fun to see all these different Batman. I think it'll be fun if Christian Bale comes back. I saw some people say, "Oh, well, that universe doesn't have powers," but it's an alternate universe. Let's see. And on top of that, well, we have this Batman, create all the Batman on Earth. There's these rumors about Ben Affleck with either a new TV series or a new movie. I got a few tabs about this. We got this covered. It says Ben Affleck is willing to return for a new Batman movie if he has more creative control. You have this Movie Web report about the rumors that there's a Batman series on HBO Max. I actually said in my DC Fandom video, I wanted the Snyder Cut to be a backdoor pilot for potential Ben Affleck Batfleck series. I heard rumors about him and potentially Joe Manganiello. Oh Lord, I know I messed up his name. But as Deathstroke, and I can't do it. Sorry, I'm screwing up his last name. Hopefully you guys know who I'm talking about. But they wanted to have Deathstroke as the main villain in either a movie or a series, or I heard potential rumors of them doing what they're doing with the sorry, got adjust my mask. Don't want you to see me. But them doing something similar to what they're doing with the Snyder Cut itself and cutting it into multiple parts. So there are kind of conflicting rumors of whether it's a show or not. Let me see. Affleck's career has been a tumultuous one, with the actor first being despised for taking the role before being adored for his gritty, intense performance. While the movies he starred in received their share of criticism, Affleck was tapped for some time to direct and star in his own solo Batman movie before leaving the project, with the actor now returning for the upcoming Flash. The back and forth between Affleck and the Batman role has now led to the rumor that he is being sought after to lead a Batman series, which will stream exclusively on HBO Max. Let's see. Apparently, Black Magic Man 90, who's the Twitter scooper, says HBO Max is interested in some kind of Batfleck continuation. However, Ben Affleck has not been given any sort of decision and has not confirmed if he is interested. The ball's in his court, and the comes down to how the Snyder Cut does for HBO Max. And then we see this other report from We Got This Covered, and you can take them with a grain of salt. I mean, We Got This Covered. But apparently, Ben Affleck, after months of speculation, he signed on for the Flash for sure. So he has signed on officially. He is going to be in the Flash. We know that for a fact. But apparently, the rumors, like I said, going into overdrive. I didn't say it. This article said it. His renewed involvement in the franchise could continue past the closing credits of the Scarlet Speedster's debut. Everyone writes like they write for WWE with this wording. Before his return was made official, there were reports making the rounds that Warner Brothers parent company AT&T were the one pushing to get behind the Academy Award winner and to get him back on board. Something they hinted at pretty strongly from the social media accounts. You also guarantee Affleck feels he has unfinished business with the Dark Knight after being swallowed up by Justice League and ultimately retiring from the role entirely. Oh yeah, that's right. He did quit because he had some issues. And you see fan art. Ana de Armas. I'm not sure what that is. So there's some fan art. So we know he signed on for the Flash. There's rumors about him signing on for a new series or movie. As the tweet said, new situation. What was that actual words? Let's get everything exact. Continuation was the word they used. So we know. Sorry. Get my notes up here. So we know HBO Max is interested in a continuation of Batfleck in some form, and that he's interested in being a part of the creative. He was initially tapped to direct his own film, and I'm sure that's still part of what he wants. So we'll see what happens with this. But what do you think? Because I'm a little worried. And I'll get into a little bit more positive news with DC. But as far as the Batman situation itself, I am one of the biggest Batman fans on Earth. I am a diehard Batman fan. You can't have enough Batman for me. You're not going to be able to confuse me either with all this stuff. You have the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson coming out next year as well. Maybe it may get pushed back to 2022, but for the most part, I believe it's supposed to come out next year. You have this Batman potentially continuing on. We know for sure he's going to be in the Snyder Cut and the Flash. And I guess I'll get into, might as well get into this. Joker, $50 million potentially for new sequels. The universe, this decision to make a multiverse, it's a gift and a curse. I understand it. It gives you something different, something to differentiate yourself from what Marvel did. But holy crap, the normies are going to get confused. My big criticism, because I didn't actually like the Joker, is he wasn't actually playing the Joker. He was playing Arthur Fleck. That's not the Joker. This character is so dumb. As great as he did as an acting job, this motherfucker is too stupid to be the Joker. Far too stupid. And I don't even know if anything that happened in the movie really happened, which is another reason why a sequel would not be a good thing, because I think that was the appeal, the mystery on what happened. To me, that movie, it was good when it was being Taxi Driver, not so much when it was trying to be Fight Club. And when I say Fight Club, I'm referencing the Tyler Durden switch, where you find out at the end Tyler Durden is really the narrator. And this was doing similar things, not to spoil it too much. And I didn't like it as a result. I thought he did a good acting job. I thought... because I wasn't really aware of the whole. I mean, I knew about the woke stuff and how they were full of crap with a lot of woke politics and the media. But when I heard the controversy from this movie, I assumed it was the studio themselves drumming up controversy for the fact or for effect for marketing. I had no idea there was a media campaign aimed directly at this movie until really it came out and I kind of saw it. But just hearing it initially and after seeing it, I'm like, why was this so much about violence and incels and all this craziness? I thought it was to hype up the movie because it really wasn't as good as everyone told me it was, or everyone still thinks that it is. And I know I'm on an island with that. It was his character isn't the Joker. I didn't need Thomas Wayne, Orange Man Bad in this, and I don't want to see another one of these movies. And it will be even worse if this is supposed to cross over at all in either a Batfleck series or the Batman, the Robert Pattinson. But it made over $1 billion. It was the most profitable movie of last year. It was more profitable than Endgame because of the budget. And Warner Brothers is negotiating for Phoenix to return in 2 new films over the next 4 years. Still being negotiated, but the scripts are being written. And of course, Joaquin, who I think initially said he didn't want to do any more movies, is very engaged with it because of his $50 million offer. Warner Brothers plans to make two sequels in the next 4 years. It's a long-term commitment to Joaquin and his Joker director Todd Phillips and producer Bradley Cooper. I did not know Bradley Cooper was a producer on this film until right now. That's crazy. It's all about getting Joaquin to the biggest payday of his career by far. What's this crap? Phillips explained that the sequel wasn't currently in the work. This is last December. And so yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is a good idea. I think this would be a waste of money. I think Joker was lightning in a bottle. It's bad enough to have this weird Elseworld story where this guy is not really the Joker, and he may. I'm spoiler alert for the Joker. Spoiler alert. He may or may not be Batman's brother, and is a huge age. It's just stupid. I just thought I would have loved the movie more if it wasn't named the Joker, because when you start to try to make it fit in the DC universe, it just dies. And it just lasted forever, and it really wasn't a plot, and I didn't like it. I thought the acting performance was good. I thought a lot of the shooting was good. I don't want to see another one of these movies. I know I'm alone in that. And even if I loved the Joker movie to pieces, a sequel ruins it. And I don't know how a normie navigates this. So you have the Joker, which is technically a Batman-related universe. You're going to have a new Suicide Squad movie. You're going to have Snyder Cut. You're going to have The Batman. You're going to have this Flash movie with all these Batman. And potentially even Henry Cavil. Yes, the Man of Steel himself. He may have signed on for 3 Superman films and a series of cameos. He may be in the Black Adam movie, which I would love to see him in The Rock in Black Adam. So you have so much going on. A lot of it's positive, but a lot of it, man, if you're a normie, how do you navigate this? How do you make it all make sense in one universe? Especially since, let's be honest, most normies have spent the last decade fawning over Marvel movies. And so they're used to that shared canon. And you're going to tell them, screw canon, this story is just this story. In this Flash movie, it wouldn't surprise me if Robert Pattinson actually shows up. I think this is supposed to be somewhat based off of Flashpoint, so he'll be in the present and then he'll go back in the past, try to save his mom, and that's where crazy stuff will ensue. And then when he comes back, you would have, I heard the rumor that it's supposed to be Batfleck, both times. When he's in the present, he goes back in the past, saves his mom. Spoilers for Flashpoint as well. And when he comes back, he would see Batfleck. But it would be more interesting, since we're going to do all this alternate universe stuff. To me, when he comes back, you get, instead of Batfleck, you would get actually Robert Pattinson. So like somehow he's changed the whole universe, and now you're coming back, and instead of having this older Batman, you have this younger Batman to see how his Flashpoint kind of messed with the universe. But we'll see. Cool Breeze says DC finally deciding to have fun with the characters. That I like. I like the fun. And me personally, I love all the Batman, all the universe stuff. Just like, I'm not sure if you were earlier in the stream, but they want everyone to come back. And this article doesn't have it, but they want Brandon Routh. They want basically any living person who's ever played a DC role to come back in the cameos for this Flash movie. That I like. But I'm worried about normies. I'm worried about normies, and I'm worried about money. I don't know if enough normies are going to be able to understand this, or will they be confused as shit. But we will find out. I'm excited for DC's future. I'm really excited about this Superman's news. He's supposed to be on for 3 Superman movies and a series of cameos. It's funny. If DC had not cast Superman beforehand, Henry Cavil would be the perfect person to cast. And they already have him. I hope they don't screw it up. I hope they can, we cannot get a woke Superman. I don't want the Michael B. Jordan Superman. It's very sad as a black man where you love seeing black people doing anything, but wokeness is made so whenever you see like there's going to be a black version of, it's like, oh God. I've heard rumors about a Michael B. Jordan Superman movie I don't want. I want an idealistic, natural, positive, optimistic Superman. I like Man of Steel, even though it was dark. I saw that people were saying this was leading to, like the plan was getting to that optimistic, positive Superman. They wanted to make it dark and challenge him. I just want a positive Superman story. I think Henry Cavill's likable. You don't need any wokeness. You don't need any, you don't need to be hard right either. Don't just make a positive, optimistic Superman. That's what the world needs more than ever. I think if you made a simple, optimistic Superman, it would do a lot of good. It would make a lot of money, and it would be what people want because, I actually do not watch The Boys. I know a lot of people love it. I think the evil Superman thing has become a trope. I think the evil superhero thing has become a trope, and we just need a positive, idealistic Henry Cavill Superman. I'm excited for this. I think out of all the DC news, this is the most easy to just like and say, yes, DC, more Superman. I can't wait to see not just him in his own movies. I really want to see him in Black Adam. I would love to see him and The Rock go at it. So that's pretty much it for the DC stuff. So I'm going to go on into the Star Wars stuff. And I say it with a heavy sigh. Before I even delete these tabs, if you're watching, I see Cool Breeze. Feel free to like this video. Feel free to give me likes, shares if you're willing to, and just thank you for joining. If you're watching it now as this streams live, or if you're watching this in the future, I'm also going to clip out videos and clip these rants into videos as well. So if that got you back here, I appreciate it. So let's get into Star Wars. Let's see if this works perfectly. Yes, we're going to close all these tabs. Yeah, there we go, Baby Yoda. So, let's start with the big news. Pedro Pascal reportedly not quitting The Mandalorian, according to Crack News Team. We got this covered. So, take it with a grain of salt. Last week, a worrying rumor started circulating that Pedro Pascal had exited The Mandalorian. Insider Grace Randolph, who gets a lot of crap, but she's a DC fan, so I put a little bit more respect, just that little bit more respect on her name than everyone else, just because of that. Multiple sources had told her that the actor had proved difficult on set and was demanding a chance to take off his helmet in more scenes due to the discomfort of wearing the heavy headgear. Producers wouldn't budge on this, and Pascal was allegedly fired/resigned after a pretty bad split midway through production. So into that, I'm not sure if you know this, and I probably should have had the tab up, but Pedro Pascal is basically doing voice acting. He's not even there most of the time. There's usually a stuntman or a stand-in actually in the costume. So that's what kind of makes, before we even really get into this rumor, how could it be so uncomfortable if it's not even something he regularly does? If there's a stuntman and there's a stand-in doing all that work, then what issue is he having? Now, this is saying, of course, this wasn't what fans wanted to hear, to say at least, but thankfully a new report has come out that completely refutes the previous claims. Mikey Sutton of Geekosity has shared his own sources close to the production that firmly deny that Pascal has left the show in any capacity, and these sources provide a couple reasons why the Wonder Woman 1984 star making his alleged ultimatum wouldn't make sense, and they got their own conjecture. What does it say? His comments, and I think the main reason it doesn't make sense is because he doesn't have to do anything. He's just a voice actor, basically. I think he was only there a few scenes last season. Excuse me, a few shows last season, and he wasn't there every episode. I think just the last episode was the main episode he was there, where you actually get the face reveal. So I don't see why he would be upset about this. This report doesn't have all of the meat and potatoes on this story. So I've heard conflicting reports. I've heard, I think Doomcock did a video, I believe today, where he said that while there was a dispute, it was handled and they just went on. And then there's another rumor that said, in the same video, I believe, Doomcock said, hey, outside of just moving on, he's going to still be a part of the show, which I guess it doesn't actually refute this report, but he's not going to be on set at all. So my take on the whole thing is probably a boring one. I really want to see what happened. I really want to let things play out. I really want to see what this new season of The Mandalorian is going to be. Apparently there's supposed to be a mid-season gap or a mid-season change where there's a direction shift and Pedro and The Mandalorian is less involved in his own show. We will see if that happens. Um, I have multiple thoughts. If Pedro Pascal indeed left the show and it just made such a big deal about his helmet, I think it's stupid on his part because the whole concept of the show is you knew that, he's not supposed to show his helmet, even though Mandalorians have in the past, and I don't know how they're going to make that work canonically. I don't know if Boba Fett is going to still be considered a Mandalorian. Surely his dad wouldn't be, because in Attack of the Clones, his helmet was off most of the movie. So you have that canonical mess with the Mandalorian having his helmet off anyway. On top of it, in the first season, he already had it established that he does function without his helmet, because there were scenes where he had it off, but you didn't see his face. So I feel like, God, there had to be a way of compromise if this was really the end-all, be-all reason. As far as his helmet, there got to be a way of, okay, we're going to just see if we can't find a few seasons, a season, for him to just have his helmet off in a way that doesn't ruin the story. You could have done this the first episode, kind of show him getting his armor on, show his face, and then show him put on the helmet, and then begin the episode. Stuff like that. You can make considerations. And, Jon Favreau, who is the showrunner, he's dealt with this in the MCU. He knows this sort of stuff. The actors, they want to be seen. So even though they're playing superheroes, they're playing people with masks, yeah, they want to have their face there. So I do understand him wanting his face there. I don't think it should be an end-all, be-all thing. I think there's a great space for compromise where you don't have to ruin the story. Like, I don't think he should have his helmet off all the damn time, but you can have a couple scenes throughout the series, just show his face just so it's seen. At the same time, if his job is as described, when he's barely there, like, what is he possibly complaining about? And that leaves, to me, the script. If he's complaining about a woke script, then I'm 100% behind Pedro Pascal. I know that a lot of people are, fuck Pedro Pascal, he's this, that, and the third. That's why I want to see what plays out. If he got a terrible script, if that is true, that he's not there for half of the season, I could see someone, if you're already upset about this helmet thing, and then you find out, oh, you're not there for half of the season, because we don't know which came first as far as that story plot. We don't know if that was a result of the confrontation between him and potentially Favreau and Filoni, and potentially even Kathleen Kennedy herself. We don't know if that's like, okay, he popped off, so now we're going to change the whole series to get rid of him for most of the season. Or if that was the script he was handed, where he finds out episode 5, I guess I'm not going to be in this episode, or 6 or 7, and then he got upset. Because if that's the way it happened, I understand why he was upset. You know what I mean? I get it. So I don't know what's going to happen with this Mandalorian, and they have other issues. It's the lovely co-star Gina Carano, and just look at this headline first off. At least they put transphobic in parentheses, but critics calling on Disney to fire Mandalorian actress Gina Carano for transphobic Twitter stunt. You didn't say that they called it transphobic. You didn't say that in the opinion of Twitter. You could have said Twitter calls Gina Carano transphobic, to make it an opinion. You just put transphobic in parentheses to imply that, of course, what she said was transphobic. It's these little subtle ways that the media does things. I know I'm just picking out of this article, but they do it all the time, of just subtle ways to kind of spin things. Sharing alt-right content. Now, I love what Gina Carano has done. I love what she's been on Twitter. I don't follow many people on Twitter, but I do follow her. I'm barely on Twitter. I only recently started when I started this channel. What is Disney going to do about her? As much as I love Gina Carano and everything she's done, this is what mainstream media thinks. She's transphobic for saying beep, bop, boop in her bio. She clearly hates She clearly hates transgenders because Twitter told her to do something. She didn't want to do it. How dare she? But, she's sharing alt-right content according to the media. So the media are really upset about her. The geeks in Twitter, the 4 people who tweet 1 trillion tweets on Twitter, they're upset about her. What is Disney going to do? Disney's been a very woke company. They have the backlash of this Mulan thing. They just have a lot of crap going on, and they need to make money. And the Mandalorian is their only cash cow. This is a side character. The main actor, as I just read, there's a lot of controversy what's going on with that. We don't even know if he's going to physically be there anymore. Apparently, he's still part of the show, but he may not physically be there. What are they going to do with the Mandalorian? What are they going to do with Gina Carano? We've seen Amber Heard be able to shit on Johnny Depp's bed, cut off his finger, and then accuse him for being racist, I think they said today. And all this other craziness. And she is still Mera from Aquaman 2. She's still going to be in Aquaman. She's going to be in the Snyder Cut. So we've seen, a lot of people, there was a huge petition to get rid of her, and she's still there. It's a different company, though. And I don't think she should still be there. But it doesn't matter what I think. They stood by her. So what is Disney going to do? To me, this is nowhere near what Amber Heard did, right? I mean, she hasn't attacked anyone. All she's done is defend herself on Twitter. I mean, if you remember, it started with this tweet as I go into it. See, following. Which is just her showing this tweet with circled the one guy not following the crowd. And then Twitter, how dare you? People said you could have put a different picture, one that didn't have that word. Of course, you can't say it because YouTube is like a 1980s Saturday morning cartoon as far as their standards. And all these trolls are trying to educate her, so she's on the right side of history. She has to say ACAB, which we know that most black people don't believe. In fact, most black people not only want police in their communities and potentially more, but want laws to protect police, believe it or not. Which you should believe it because you shouldn't listen to the media. But Gina Carano is over all this crap. And she says she wants people to open up her business, something I agree with. But you're not supposed to say that in the post-COVID. You're supposed to think COVID is instant death. How dare you have a nuanced opinion? She said something about the depression, which is really affecting me. I'm not going to lie. Part of the reason I don't have more content on this channel is depression. That's just being honest. The depression, the murder, all the crap. This is what she called out. And I like it. I love it. I'm glad that she's against a lot of this woke crap. And she talked about how church was canceled. I mean, everything she said, for the most part, I can't think of anything that I disagree with. This Twitter thing, and this is really weird for me because, like I said, I don't get on Twitter. This idea that she's supposed to have in her bio what everyone else says. So she said beep, bop, boop, instead of she, her, hers, and that's transphobic. And in the article, they said the critics called the sentiment transphobic, but they put it in the headline as if it was obviously transphobic because they're trying to discredit her because that's the way the media talks. That's the way the media does things. And now Disney, which can't put their hair on their ass with anything when it comes to Star Wars, now has this controversial figure in everything. I love Gina Carano. I loved her in The Mandalorian. I will be reviewing The Mandalorian. I talked about her and Pedro just a second ago. But I don't know what Disney's going to do. They're a very woke company. They are a very reactive company a lot of times. But they haven't said anything yet. So that implies to me they may be keeping her. I hope they do. But even though I don't know what's going on with it. And this story is a couple weeks old, and I meant to talk about it a couple weeks ago. And then I'll kind of speak about the state of Star Wars, because I really want to talk about the state of them as a whole. So Daisy Ridley confirms that no one had any idea what Star Wars was doing with Rey. And we know about John Boyega's issue. I didn't even talk about him. His issue with Star Wars, Daisy Ridley talked about how at the beginning, they were touring with Obi-Wan connection. There were different versions, and it really went to that. She was no one. And then it came to episode 9, and JJ pitched me the film and said, "Oh yeah, she's Palpatine, or Palpatine's granddaddy." And I'm like, awesome. Then 2 weeks later, he was like, "Oh no, we're not sure." So it kept changing. And keep in mind, this film was shot up until a few weeks before release. Cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Some people estimate $600 million for the cost of this film, and they didn't have a fucking clue of what they were doing. So this is what scares me with the Pedro Pascal and Gina Carano. I don't know what they're gonna do. And this is my rant that I wanted to say a couple weeks ago about this whole Daisy Ridley. Admitting what we already knew, but it still hurts. It still hurts because I've been a fan. You know, I'm in my 30s. I've been a fan since 1996 or 97 when they did the VHS re-releases of the film. And I was a kid then, and I remember watching all three films. You know, they had the little VHS thing, like Darth Vader's face, the little case for it, and watching all three films back to back, which means they were the remastered version. So I saw Han shoot second, but it doesn't matter. I saw all three films back to back, and I was hooked as a kid. And so I've been a fan since 20 plus years. I even will stand by my experience with The Force Awakens because when I first saw it, all I wanted was a New Hope remake. I just wanted a Star Wars film. I was excited. I was so excited. I went to see it a second time. I think me and my mom's a big Star Wars fan. I know it sounds terrible going to move with your mom, but I just moved to the South at the time, moving from Detroit, which I'm from Detroit. And so we went to see it again. She will deny to this day that she went to see it a second time. Deny completely that she went to see The Force Awakens a second time because how bad The Last Jedi was. And Last Jedi just was such a destructive piece of crap. And what kills me is they paid $4 billion for this property. I'm not throwing up the Four Horsemen sign. Even if you're a bunch of evil, sociopathic, crazy, billionaire company owners and can't even think of the word, businessmen and women, stockholders for Disney. If all you want to do is push your agenda, if you're Bob Iger, how do you not go to Kathleen Kennedy and say, hey, we're an evil, crazy company, but because we want to make the most money and we just spent $4 billion on a property that made most of its money in merchandise, what is the plan for the 3 movies that we are going to make? I don't care how woke it is. If you want to, bash men all the movie, cool. I'm talking as Bob Iger. This is not what I believe. But I'm saying, if you're Bob Iger, why couldn't you do this? You can make the wokest, craziest, in fact, make it extra woke because we have to push our globalist agenda because we're evil Disney. But what's the beginning, the middle, and the end of this story? Because we need to know for merchandising purposes, for potential game tie-ins, for advertising, and we need to get the whole system. So please give me your beginning, middle, and end. Bob Iger never did that. So not only did you have this nut job in Kathleen Kennedy, who had nothing but agenda, who was bitter because she got tossed around back in the 80s. That's true. That's how she got on. I think it was her husband, worked on a movie with Spielberg, and so that's how she got on. She was just if you see the little pictures of her as one of the dancers in one of the Indiana Jones movies, she's just some producer who got on. She's the I couldn't even think of what's the girl that shit on Odell Beckham. Now I'm about to look up. Literally shit on Odell Beckham. His name. Oh Jesus. Just Insta that. I'm trying to get this. She had a name, something danger. Poof, fetish. Dots next door. Oh, access denied. I'm trying to get this chick's name. What is she's an Instagram model? Okay. I'm just trying to get this stupid chick's name. Just so I can compare her to Kathleen Kennedy. That's the only reason. Whatever. Oh my God. This one. Slim Danger. That's the girl's name. Slim Danger. I don't know this story. Some Instagram model had a story about sucking off 7 NBA players in one sitting. Who wants to be 2 through 7 in that? Oh, Jesus. Chief one. Chief. See, that's what I'm saying. But that's who. Slim Danger. That is who Kathleen Kennedy was in her day. Just there was no Instagram back in the day. She's just somebody who let execs clap her cheeks to the point she got to become an exec herself. She was bitter about that, and she had this vengeance story on George Lucas, the man that got her a high-paying executive job at Disney. How dare he? And made it so she's basically unfireable at this high-paying executive job. What a patriarchal, evil person this George Lucas is for doing that for Kathleen Kennedy. But she had to get revenge for this terrible act of making sure she's financially secure for the rest of her life beyond her wildest dreams without having any talent. So she needed her vengeance for this act. And Bob Iger never held her to a standard of a beginning, middle, and end. So she went crazy. She, like I said, I haven't watched The Force just fuck up the English language. I haven't watched The Force Awakens since seeing it in theaters all those many years ago. But I liked the experience of the first one. I liked leaving that not knowing what was going to happen. I thought this was going to be John Boyega's Finn and Rey, but it wasn't. Finn got sidelined. Rey became the bestest ever. And the story, which, you know, the beginning, she was supposed to be Obi-Wan Kenobi's granddaughter. Why didn't they keep that? Or if she was supposed to be no one, why didn't they keep that? Or if Palpatine was already the plan, why didn't they hint to it during the first 3 movies? Or the first 2 movies? And do you trust these people? These people that spent $4 billion on a property just to not have a basic beginning, middle, and end for that property. Do you trust them to deal with a potentially upset star of the only thing they've done that matters outside of Rogue One, which I like Rogue One, but I think it's covered up in the stink of everything else. And people, you know, people will say they like it, but no one's going to die on the hill of Rogue One. So this is the only thing that matters. You have an actor, you don't know what, it seems like something happened. It may be over-exaggerated, but there's some dispute. And then, you know, one of the next major characters on the same show, a lot of controversy. I don't consider it controversial, but it is to people who are on the left or just, you know, sometimes you don't have to disagree with something to just not want to deal with something. You may not want to deal with Gina Carano, deal with just the controversy in general. What do they do? Do you trust this company who has shown so much disregard for their own property, for something that cost them so much, and it's cost them probably more since they haven't made their money back, and if they have, they've lost a lot of it because of Solo and the Fall of Skywalker. Do you trust this company to lead Star Wars into the future? Because I don't. And I don't know what they're going to do with Pedro Pascal. I don't know what they're going to do with Gina Carano. I don't know what's going to happen with The Mandalorian Season 3, which is supposedly being recorded right next to The Mandalorian Season 4. They're going to be recorded back to back. And nobody, you know, Disney's in trouble financially, even though they, you know, they're connected enough to our government, which they'll get handouts, unfortunately. You and me had to starve, though. But I'm worried about them. Desperately worried about The Mandalorian and Disney. So as I look at my notes, we're nearing the end. Just a few more stories. I want to get into a positive news story. I'll try to do at least one positive news story. Let me see the closest task. Will it go right? Yeah, there we go. I want to do at least one positive news story episode. I started my channel doing positive news, a positive news podcast, and I enjoy doing it very much. Unfortunately, as I even found out today, most positive news has become politicized, and it's a shame. Because I found a lot of good stories. So check my early streams if you like. Cast Nate Fillion as Mando and Keep It Moving. That it says Cool Breeze. He just said that in the chat. That is a potentially good idea. There's a little bit of a delay, so I'm getting it a little later. I'm already moved on. That's a decent idea to just say screw this, we're done, and you can recast the Mandalorian. You can recast him. That's probably the simplest way to do it. It's just to recast them, get a good actor like that, Nate Fillion. Just all right, we're done. We'll see. Even though I don't know, I think Nate Fillion. I kind of wanted him to be more of his old character. He's one of those actors that has his old charisma, and I think he would do a great job as the Mandalorian. I just don't. I feel like he could play another character just as well. And thank you for Cool Breeze for just chiming in and dealing with this podcast. You get to say you were there at episode 1. If this becomes a big podcast, you get to say that, so I appreciate that. Okay, this is going to be the positive news story today, and then we're going to do our parting shot, and we're going to get out of here. So, honey, sweet relief, and I think we all need as much immune boost as we can get. Sweet relief honey is more effective than over-the-counter cough medicines or over-the-counter medicines for cough and colds. And this is very true, especially if you get the raw, organic, virgin honey, or if you get Manuka honey. These things are highly antibacterial, highly good for you in a trillion ways. So honey could offer more effective treatment for some respiratory infections than prescription medicines, according to a study. The pharmaceutical industry has developed a host of treatments for sore throats, blocked noses, coughs, but a study suggests that snuffling patients can get more relief from honey than antibiotics or over-the-counter medicine. Physicians from Oxford University's Medical School and Nuffield Department of Primary Care Health Sciences, this is in Britain, so they have those long names, analyze existing data to evaluate the effectiveness of honey in treating illnesses that could affect the nose, sinus, pharynx, or larynx. So basically, honey, and this didn't specify, like I said, you can't just get the over-the-counter sugary honey. That's not going to get it done. You need to get either Manuka honey or, let me get you the right honey since we're here. We're live. Uh-oh. You get to see, I know since I searched, you may be able, oh no, I'm in the way. Yes. I was worried I would dox myself when I go to Google, but my camera is in the way of where you would see my name, so shout out to that. But let me get to this organic. This is the type of stuff you want to get. If you're going to get honey, don't get that sugary. You want this organic, raw, unstrained. You may see it called virgin. Let me see. It's organic, raw, unfiltered. You want it to be kind of crystallized. You don't just want to get like this regular honey. Oh yeah, so organic honey. Yeah, something like this. This is actually, I think, the type of honey I've gotten before. So if you're going to get this honey and listen to this article about how it can be more effective than cough medicine, which it can be, it's very good for your immune system, get this type of raw honey. It doesn't have to be this brand, but you want organic and you want raw honey. You don't want the sugary stuff because it's not real honey. So yeah, that's the positive news. Out of all this craziness, do not forget that you can boost your immune system with something as simple as honey. There's some positive news for everyone. I think everyone needs to look into that. And always remember there are always natural ways, which in many cases can be more effective than the prescription and the over-the-counter way. So now, time for my closing shots. And I have a lot to get into. I do political news on this channel as well as nerd and culture sort of stuff. Gotta go home right now. Now, Detroit, I saw this a few weeks ago, where Detroit has outlawed a bunch of stuff for the way the police handled the protesters. And this is my closing shot. It's about what is becoming state-sanctioned violence and establishment-sanctioned spin. I'm a black man. You kind of see little like patches of light skinness. I'm a black man from Detroit. I do not have a lot of positive experiences with the police, and I do not have a criminal record. Before you go there, I have no criminal record. I've been searched unnecessarily. I have this tragic incident when I was like 5 or 6. The long and short is, My stepdad he's biracial, and if you looked at him and didn't know better, you may think he's Caucasian. I'm in the back seat. I am 5 years old. This is the early 90s, 5 to 7 years old. I'm in the back seat. I'm with my mom and I'm with my stepdad. Luckily, my youngest brother, who would have been like 1 or 2 at the time, was over like a grandparents' house. I don't remember where we're coming from, but we are on 8 Mile in Livonia. For those who want the geography lesson, going back towards the west side, and Livonia police stop us. And what I remember, because kids do have the ability to imagine memories, so I want to give you the basicness that I can remember and let you interpret. I seem to remember that when we got stopped, when the cop looked in the car, he kind of did a double take looking at me, and you can see I'm pretty light skinned. This man he believed just visually to be Caucasian, and my stepdad, who again is multiracial, and then my mom, who's black. And he did this kind of weird double take, and then we all had to come down to the station. I had some McDonald's. When we got down to the station, my grandma eventually would come pick me up. And this is, there was no reason. It was just because. It was something stupid. But at one point, I go to the bathroom. At another point, I come out, and I start eating little fries or whatever I had. Got sick and threw up, and I looked down. It looks to be saliva. So, for all intents and purposes, based upon my memories, and again, there's interpretation. I'm not trying to be extreme. I'm not trying to add on anything. I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim type guy. But just as I bump into stuff, this is just my account as being 5 to 7. Based upon what I can gather, this is a childhood memory, but the memory of looking down, seeing that saliva and throwing up and cops laughing, that's vivid. But rather or not, it seemed to be that he looked at who was in the car, saw what he thought was a white man, black woman, and a mixed kid, took them down to the police station and spit in the kid's food. The kid being me. So this is my background with police. This is where I come from with police. It's not positive. It's not someone who's going to have a thin blue line tattoo, but I'm not a defund the police guy. And I'm not a disarm the police from being able to do their jobs. And so when I saw this, ban on chokeholds, I'm for. In this establishment of a de-escalation continuum, these are the rules passed a few weeks ago in Detroit. Restrictions on firing at and from a moving vehicle. Measures for reporting when an officer threatens to use force. Requirements for officers to intervene and report where officers use excessive force. Creations and considerations for vulnerable people who are unable to comply with verbal commands. Requirements of quarterly reporting on use of force, etc. There was some more inflammatory stuff which I can't find. Reading that sort of stuff, I'm not necessarily negative on it, but there was a lot to limiting. This just doesn't show that. I really wish I could find. Let me see if I can find it. There was a lot more stuff. I can't go back. Damn it. It was. Ooh. Voice is really dry. Really should have. Oh, you do got water. Sorry about that. Hydrate or die. There's a lot of language. This doesn't show as much of it because it's kind of sugarcoated, and we see how the media can sugarcoat things. But it's basically restrictions on how they're supposed to interact with protesters. And listen, like I said, I don't like police. I wasn't a huge fan of the vans, even though a lot of my people had to deal with that for years. The Hop Out Boys, and the fact that some of these goofy protesters had to deal with it is what it is. But I'm not a police guy. I don't want the police to be choking people. I don't want the police to have, the power to beat people. But I don't like the state telling the police how to do their job in a way that's political. There's been too much state-sponsored violence. So, like I said, this article doesn't do as well, but it was in my home city, and the fact they had all these restrictions. The training stuff is okay. The require of minimal reliance of force is really the issue. It's like, how do you stop a riot without force? And let's go to Lancaster. And yes, this bail was lowered, But the riot stopped after the initial arrest. If you remember, this was last week. 9 of these protesters. Let me see, 9 or 13. Oh, so some of the protesters still have their bail at $1 million. Excuse me, but Lancaster, Pennsylvania, arrested protesters, set bail for $1 million. The protest stopped. The riots stopped. And now they've since lowered it to still high, but between $25,000 and $100,000 bond, and some of the bail amounts are unsecured, so that means you don't necessarily need money up front. So they actually have de-escalated from that $1 million. But I believe just the fact that they set those original bail amounts as high as they did, I think that scared a lot of people off. I think force is needed. I don't want martial law. I don't want the government to have all the powers on earth, but goddamn it, I don't want buildings to be burnt down. And, I talked earlier, opened up with Lebron James paying money for fines. We know a lot of this BLM money has gone towards, I think there's something called a freedom fund to get people out of jail, to bail people out of jail. But we set $1 million bonds. All these protesters across the nation, you think if all those bonds were set at $1 million, which you need 10%, so it's $100,000 a piece. How much money you think it'll get cost to get thousands of protesters out of jail at $100,000 a piece? That's going to dry up whatever fund you're using. So we need more cities to behave like Lancaster did. And then in Portland, 100+ nights of unrest, and the DA admits that he's old buddies with Antifa. And keep in mind, this is also the same city where Annie No was attacked by Antifa and nothing happened. So we're seeing politics and literally political violence. And it's sanctioned by the state. It's sanctioned by Portland DA. It was sanctioned. Detroit wants you to lower your force. The police lower their force to give protesters more, not protesters, rioters. A lot of these people are rioters. It's sad because I know there's people who claim to want change, but they're following behind people that don't want anything but to watch the world burn and watch Marxism rise. It has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with race. None of this stuff has anything to do with race. But you have the DA in Portland. You have Lancaster who handle things a different way. Yes, they lowered the bail, but they have that initial upfront, that first initial reaction killed the protest, killed the riot, and probably saved businesses. And then you have the story of Jake Gardner, who's passed recently. Now, all the reports say, this is the initial report, where he wasn't going to be charged. Because initially he wasn't going to be charged, and if you see the video, he was accosted and defending himself. Initially he wasn't going to be charged, as he shouldn't have been. But then politics happened, and charges came up, and now this guy supposedly has killed himself. I don't even know if I can say that phrase on YouTube, but he supposedly ended himself, and there's a little question into that because there's just this there's just a call about someone being suicidal that he's found about 20 some odd minutes from Portland. There really needs to be investigation, and if I can find the initial report, and I know I apologize for being so ill prepared, but as you see, I have so many topics I wanted to get into, and so much I wanted to talk about. Let's see. There was a spot that said that didn't have his death ruled. This is just his indictment. This is about the suicide. But there was a story that didn't necessarily show that his death was ruled a suicide. But every report is that he died by suicide. NPR, he died by suicide. Look at this headline. Omaha bar owner has died by suicide after he was charged in the shooting of black man. It's just the fact that he killed a black man. I don't want people like me to lose their lives while I'm against abortion, right? But this man was defending himself. Now he's dead, either by suicide or potentially by nefarious means. I don't know either way. I wasn't there. I'll let the justice system pray that the same justice system, because he died in Oregon, and you see how the DA in Portland goes. We pray that everything is on the up and up, and that justice is found in case this is not the suicide it's been initially reported as. And all the media can tell you is they shot a black man. They can't tell you the potential self-defense. They don't show you the video. You can look online to find a video. He was accosted first. So what do we do now that we know that the state and the establishment can allow people to burn down our buildings, burn down our homes? Some communities will protect you. You see Lancaster, PA did their best to stop the riots in its tracks. And you see other communities will not only not protect you, not only are encouraging the police to be defunded like they're doing in Portland, but are also connected to the actual people protesting when you have a DA connected to Antifa. And when you add in all the mobilization that's happened with all these riots, and you add in there's instances of rallies being stopped by BLM, Trump rallies and stuff like that, them attacking people. It actually happened to a content creator. I asked her if I could use her footage. She didn't get back to me, so I'll leave that there. Maybe you know who I'm talking about. But a few weeks ago, Dallas, there was a protest or counter-protest that turned violent at the hands of BLM. And the state encouraged or functioned or sanctioned. Now you have some people, Nancy Pelosi finally said something about the violence. We still had Jerry Nadler saying Antifa is a myth. I know this is a total departure, and I know trying to get everything in one go is probably going to be rough, but got to grow. But what do you think about that? What do the people do about this? What do the people do when the deck is stacked against us? We're not allowed to defend ourselves. If we're the wrong color when we defend ourselves, now it's a racial issue. The media is spinning things. The DAs and the police department, a lot of these police departments will let riots happen. I've lurked in the Portland Reddit because I like lurking, where leftists lurk to really see what they think, to kind of get an on-the-ground view, because I don't like having just one opinion. It's just not good. A lot of them will complain and say, well, okay, it's not as bad. The protests aren't as bad as you think, but police response is down. I'm like, well, you want to defund the police, so that's going to happen. But, you have police being inactive. You have DAs with connections. You have the state always, trying to make police, the police that are actually trying to be active, trying to curtail them even more. What is the answer? I mean, outside the Second Amendment, of course. What answer do we have? And what do we do to stop this? I mean, a lot of people, they think they're just going to go November 3rd, they're going to hit Trump, and everything is going to be better. They voted, they're going to vote their Republican ticket, they're going to walk out their booth and, jets will fly over, the flag will go in the air, and freedom will reign out because Trump wins again. Dude, I don't know what's going to happen with this election, but regardless of what's going to happen with this election, it is not ending November 3rd. It's not going to end in November at all. Regardless of what's going to happen in this election, it ain't over November 3rd, regardless of what happens. And the state of the politicization of everything. There's even a job site, Unwoke. And no, I'm not on the woke side of things, but I am not on the separation side of things either. I'm not on the divisive side of things either. I want to de-escalate a race war, de-escalate a civil war, de-escalate a world war. I've said that multiple times on this channel, and I'm holding to that. And in order to do that, we cannot have politically sanctioned violence. We cannot have politically excused violence. We cannot have spin. We need truth. We need justice. Truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, but in the end, there it is. Or something like that. It's the Winston Churchill quote. The truth is the truth is the truth. We don't need spin. We don't need BS. And we can't live if wrong think means you're allowed to be transgressed against. If it's for this man to have been charged with self-defense or charged with manslaughter with a case of self-defense is to say you don't have the right to defend your property. And the police don't have the right to do anything to stop looters. And if the looters do get caught, if they're in the wrong city, the politically wrong city, you better not be a Trump supporter in Portland, because if the looters get caught, they're going to get ran out. And it's like, there's a simple way to handle this. Lancaster's already showed you the way. This is the way. You gotta attack hard against these rioters. And people who are protesting, if anybody's watching this now or in the future, they're all for they want this change, which hasn't been clearly defined. They want BLM to be the movement they think it is. They think it's the civil rights movement of the 60s. It isn't. But if you really think that, you have to do a better job of differentiating away from this Antifa BLM. You just have to. Rather, it's a new group, new organization, which is what I would suggest, because Black Lives Matter and this whole establishment, this wicked establishment all together are doing nothing but trying to shatter and divide the American people at our core. Like I said, look at this article. Just look at this headline. He was shot. He was charged in the shooting of a black man. He shot a black man. So clearly he must have been racist. But if you look at the video, he's trying to talk. He's trying to convert it out. He's being accosted. And he defends himself. And now he's dead. And how many more people are going to die before we stop allowing and encouraging politically sanctioned garbage? We should not allow violence just because they're on the right side of history. And it would be no different if it was the other way around. If it was nothing but conservatives and there was conservative groups being allowed to do all this stuff, it's just sickening. And I don't know what the end game is for us as the average citizens. The only thing I can think is, hey, my local municipality, I'm blessed that we're not having to deal with this, at least to this extent. All you can do is pay attention to your local government. If you have government who's talked about defunding the police, you got to write them, you got to scream at them not to do that if they have it. If you have government that is restricting your police from doing their jobs, you have to write, you have to scream, you have to holler, you have to do whatever you can. If you have government that is doing what happened in this government, I didn't even talk about the McCloskeys, how there's evidence that's been tampered with in their case. If you don't remember the McCloskeys, they're a couple in St. Louis who are just defending their home, who now has charges against them for defending their home. And of course, they're racist for not wanting BLM to destroy everything. It's crazy. The spin has to stop, and we have to hold people accountable. So NPR, I'm gonna be the change I see in the world. I'm gonna write I'm gonna write a little email to NPR. I know they're not gonna read it, but it has to happen. Everybody needs to add their voice in to the best of their ability to what's right. This isn't right or left. This is right or wrong, and this violence has to stop. So I'm done ranting. I know I kind of just went long with my closing shot. I keep coughing. Hydrate or die. But that is the show. Good old hour and a half, almost 90 minutes. So this is the first episode of the Vigilante Williamson show. So if you made it through all of this, so shout out to Cool Breeze. You were there. You get to say 100 years from now that you were in the chat of the very first Vigilante Williamson show. So if you like the video, please like the video. If you're willing to share and subscribe, please do so. I'm actually going to cut this up into multiple videos. So if you're watching this from the future, welcome from the past. If you are so obliged to share and subscribe, please do so. And if you do none of these things, I appreciate you watching. Thank you for your time, and God bless.